Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to this new solo progression series that I'm going to be starting for GMS Reboot or Heroic, whatever Nexon wants to call it these days. So starting off, I am a returning player, not brand new, but I haven't played in a really long time. Whenever I did play, I got up to Lotus and Damien, and that was a pretty good benchmark back in the day, but it seems we've progressed way past that. And I thought the Xuan update looked really cool, so I figured why not return. But whenever I did return, I kind of didn't know what was going on, and my account wasn't as progressed as I remembered. So I figured why not just start a new account? You know, I can get back to where I was pretty quickly, and then I can, maybe even push the account further beyond.
Even further beyond!
I don't know whether that's going to be something like Black Mage solo or any of these other endgame bosses solo. I do know that I have to end up grouping up eventually if I want to do super endgame bosses, but we'll see whenever we get there. And I mentioned solo because this is a solo progression, so that kind of means that I either have no friends or like to play on my own schedule or some kind of a mix between the two. I know some people also are really intimidated getting into groups and not really knowing how that works, or just maybe even looting sounds scary. You don't want to like steal someone's stuff. I totally get that. And so this series is hopefully going to be showing you how a account without any friends or any groups is really going to work. If you do end up grouping up, you will progress quite a bit faster than me from what I've seen, but that is totally up to you. I'll have guilds and stuff like that, but I won't be killing bosses in groups with anyone. Like I said, I am a returning player, so I know some things, but there's a ton that I'm going to be learning alongside you all, especially if you are a newer player. And I'm going to be making choices that may not be the best, but I'll try to explain my thought process along the way. Additionally, I'm going to be using minimal MapleStory jargon, or at least for the few times that I do use them. In the beginning, I'll try to explain them as best I can in a really condensed way. And if it is really complicated, like today I am going to be talking about links and Legion, if that sounds completely foreign to you, I will try to leave some useful links for you in the description, but generally you can look those things up and there's tons and tons of guides, or I can even make future videos on those, and I can try and help you navigate what some of those things mean, because for instance, as a newer player, you might be wondering what a WAP is, and it's definitely probably not what you think it is. Since I am a newer player myself though, feel free to drop some suggestions if you have any on things I might have really done wrong. Like I said, I am not going to try and be super efficient, so try not to be too harsh on me, but if there's something I really messed up, feel free to drop it in the comments. Or if I breeze past something that you might want a little bit better explanation on in another episode, then also leave it down there. And if you enjoy the series or just want to watch more stuff like it, then leave a like. It helps me know that I'm doing a good job. Overall, the hopes of this series is that you maybe learn something or kind of just enjoy the starting of a brand new account and showing what the progression is going to be like. Maybe you'll learn something as a newer player, or this is just good background noise for any of you experienced guys just going and doing some grinding. So first things first, with the little bit of an introduction out of the way, I'm going to start with a bit of a preface going forward. Typically, I would want to have a few episodes leading up to this next one, but I kind of had a wrench thrown into my plans, and I'm definitely going to be blaming Nexon on this one. I'm going to try and pack about 2 weeks worth of content into this video. It's really mostly Legion building in the second half, so feel free to skip around. I'll try to leave timestamps down below if you're really not interested in Legion stuff. And if you're wondering, Legion and Links are essentially just bonus account buffs that come from making additional characters. I'll leave a link down below that shows all the Links and Legion buffs for each class. This is the Excel spreadsheet by Scardor that I used and I found pretty helpful as a newer player. So the reason that I ended up trying to condense these 2 weeks worth of account progression into just one video is because Nexon decided to announce a new challenger world for global MapleStory. This is the first time we've ever had it. It's a time-limited world that really rewards players for making a new character and defeating bosses, to put it simply. You're going to be on a new world and you're going to be pretty much all alone, and you're supposed to progress this one account, this one character, as far as you can go. They do give you a bunch of really good supplies and equipment, but it's really to challenge you, hence the name of the world. And then once you're done, you can transfer it back over to your main world, and now you have a new, shiny, really strong character. Or at least that's the point. Along with that, you do get access to potentially 4,000 Legion for free. Your Legion goes up whenever you have a new character, and it adds their levels to your total level. So just think of it as your total level across your entire account. And you essentially get these potions that allow you to level your characters instantly from 1 to 200. This really helps build up that Legion, which again just kind of gives your account even more and more buffs, really making it easier for your main few characters to progress even faster. So I guess that's to say that I do plan on dumping a ton of time into this world, and I thought the progression specifically on that world would be really, really cool, because that one is supposed to be kind of a condensed version of this series. And honestly, there's just so many great rewards for a new account. I can't imagine myself not taking advantage of it. As of now, I have around 4,500 Legion, so if I can add another 4,000 to that, that would put me in a really great spot. Honestly, a huge boost to the account. It is going to take some time, a few months of progression over there, but I think it would be really fun and really cool. So that's why I decided to take these 2 weeks and condense them down so that we can catch up to the Challenger World series, or the Challenger World part of this series rather, as fast as possible. I kind of didn't want you guys lingering around in the few weeks leading up to it while it's already going on. Alright, so now with that preface out of the way, we can get into the actual stuff I wanted to talk about. So the Xuan event, this is the whole reason that I decided to come back. I ended up jumping back into it a little bit later, but that's honestly kind of just when I found it. I had been contemplating whether I wanted to play Xuan or not. It's a class I had seen, a mixed martial arts class, and it always looked really fun. I kind of had seen it here and there already because it released in other MapleStory regions, but it never came to the West. So starting with this class gave some really great rewards. It was still during the Xuan event, so I got a ton of free gear and a burning coupon that I'll get into in just a minute. I ended up doing a mixture of the questline with the main designation next to it, and also some theme dungeons like the LNL Ferry Academy or Rihanna Strait. Once I got to level 101, I could participate in the Victoria Cup event, which gave daily login rewards. And it gave me access to a snack break room, which essentially just provided a ton of mobs with a huge amount of XP in each one. It pretty much allowed me to level up around 40 or 50 levels each time I went in there. So I used that as well as a strawberry field ticket, which you could buy from a vendor. And this is essentially the same thing as the snack break room, but with strawberries. I don't really get it. I don't know what the theme is here, but it was cool. I was able to essentially do this same method of just jumping into the snack break room for my first 3 characters, easily getting all of them up to 200. So after getting my Xuan to 200, I made a Mercedes, because honestly I kind of just like the Mercedes as a class, and it's also a really strong link. Kind of like I mentioned before, this one provides you 20% additional XP for all my characters, so as you can tell that's a pretty strong buff, and that's why I kind of explained Links and Legion as a way to buff your overall account. I ended up putting the Terraburn coupon for the Xuan event on this character, which just really allows you to level up to 200 way faster than normal. Every time you level up, you actually end up getting 3 levels. And in the Challenger world that I mentioned earlier, you're going to be getting a similar coupon, but every time you level up, it'll be 5 levels. So this is kind of like the babyer version of that. So this helps you get up to 200 really fast, which is great because Mercedes, while it is really fun, honestly isn't the best whenever it comes to training, to put it lightly. I think a lot of people struggle with its training, so I figured just throwing it into the snack break room with a Terra Burn coupon on it will really just solve all of my problems, and it essentially did. I got up to 200 really fast, and I jumped on to my next character, and this is probably definitely going to be on the list for potential main characters that I want to pick. I don't really have a designated main for sure yet, but this will be on the list because it is Zero. Currently a really strong and really fun class. It is two characters that combine into one, alpha and beta, and honestly I can't recommend it enough. It has a lot of really cool combos whenever you're using one skill. From alpha, beta comes out and vice versa, and there's just so much going on. It looks really cool, it's really fun, it does a lot of damage, has a ton of stuns. The only big drawback, honestly, is the fact that it has a really long story quest that you have to get to. Once you get through it, and I'd highly recommend getting through it because it does provide around 25% final damage, I think, which final damage, to put it simply, is essentially percent damage added on to all of your damage. So it is one of the strongest forms of increased damage in the game, as far as I understand. Feel free to correct me in the comments, but that's really all I could understand about it. Is it's a huge buff that you should definitely spend the time, even though it might take a few hours to do, if you do make a Zero. On top of that, it has a really good Legion block, and I did mention Links and Legion, but specifically the Legion block is a board you get for Legion, and as you increase your Legion, you get to put more characters on this board, and it gives you really strong buffs like extra crit damage, crit rate, ignore enemy defense, and boss damage. All these things really do help all of your characters, and that is pretty much the main reason I am doing the Challenger World, is this will really expand my Legion block. So this Legion block is that'll really expand my Legion board, and I can put more of these character Legion blocks in there later on. The Zero Legion block just straight up increases all the experience that you actually are able to get, so that's kind of why I made it, but it actually just turned out to be a great character. So like I said, I am condensing this all, which is a little unfortunate because we are skipping over some interesting things, but I hope my little gamble ends up paying off and the progression on the Challenger World is just as exciting. So at this point, I have 3 characters over level 200. That is honestly such a great start for the account. I was able to do daily bossing on all of these characters. These are just bosses that only reset after a full 24-hour cycle, and each time you kill them, you get a boss crystal. These sell for a good amount of meso. If you do a full set of daily bosses on one character, it's worth around 80 to 100 mil, I found. So if I'm doing that on 3 characters, each day I'm getting around 300 million meso. That's not including the daily boss Ursus. Whenever you get access to Ursus, you go in there and fight him as best you can with a bunch of other players, and whenever you get out, you get around 25 million meso, which is pretty good considering you can do him 3 times. So I was getting around 300 to 400 million meso every few days, and I know that's definitely not a lot to a lot of players. It's honestly not a ton to me even now, just a few weeks later. But at the time, whenever starting a new account, this was a huge boon. It really allowed me to buy things that I needed to progress the account. And if you're wondering about Ursus anymore, there is a specific time to fight Ursus that'll give you double the amount of meso. I'll put a link in the description. This is actually the website that I use to track whenever Ursus is up for double time meso. It's twice a day, so it'll give you a little bit of a timer. And on top of that, it's actually a great website for tracking all of your daily bosses. You can check them off, and there's a way to track multiple characters. So I've used this website, and honestly, it seems like the best one that I could find. So that's why I'll leave it down below. Hopefully that helps a little bit. So along with my daily bosses now and doing my daily arcane river missions on my Xuan, I wanted to continue progressing that character because, like I said, I started him during an event. So every time I leveled up a certain amount, it would give me a new reward. I really wanted to get all of them, and they went all the way up to level 260. That's definitely quite an undertaking considering I'd never got to 260 before, but as far as I could tell, as long as I did my dailies every day on him, and maybe even a little bit of grinding, then I should be able to hit 260 by the end of the event. So along with those dailies and trying to get some XP on my Xuan, on my Arcane River dailies, I did one more thing, and this was a huge XP increase. Honestly, I can't imagine why anyone would not do this, and that is going to be doing Monster Park. Monster Park is kind of weird because you do have to buy tickets for it in at least in Heroic or Reboot, and you can buy, I guess, 6. Back when I used to play it was 5, but now it's 6, and they are way more expensive than I recall. So each of these tickets actually cost 7 million meso, which sounds like a lot because it definitely was at the time for me, and you can buy up to 6 of them. So that's right around 40 million meso, and you can do this every day. So this was pretty expensive, and I honestly put it off for the first few days of the account until I was able to do those daily bosses, do that Ursus, and really build up a few 100 million meso just so that I could do this daily. And it is totally worth it. It gives you so much experience, and I can't recommend it enough if you are a newer account or if you stopped for some reason. It gives you so much experience that it's even into the 260s now, it still gives you good experience. So I'd recommend doing that every day. For anyone that doesn't know what Monster Park is, it's essentially a room where you go in, clear a bunch of mobs in stages, and then once you finish it, you get a giant lump of XP. This is, I think, something that people even do all the way up to like level 280 plus. It's a really efficient way to get XP, and along with all of those dailies, I was able to progress my Xuan. I even threw my Mercedes into the snack break room a few more times so that I could get it up to level 210. 210 is a really important level because that allows you to get the level 3 Link skill. Like I said, you make additional characters for Links, but the Links have a progression in it of themselves. So whenever you get up to level 120, that gives you a tier 2 Link, and some classes even have a tier 3 Link, which, like the Mercedes, stops at level 210. So getting them there is a pretty good milestone, and that's why I wanted that for the additional 20% XP. If you stop at level 120, that's totally fine. You get 15% additional XP, or, you know, the level 2 Link of whatever character that is. Since we're already talking about Legion, I'm going to describe my Legion creation system and then kind of just blast through all of them in a bit of a montage at the end. So in general, you want to get your Legion characters to around level 120, like I just mentioned. That'll give you the level 2 Link, which for a lot of characters is going to be the maximum. Although there are some that have the level 3 Link, but that's level 210 and takes quite a bit more commitment. So I wanted to get them to at least 120, but the Legion blocks work in a similar way where they have little milestone points, and the milestone around that area is 140. It's a really common strategy to make a bunch of characters and get them all to level 140, or that rank S Legion block, which just is a bigger Legion block so you can fill up more of your Legion board. I know this is a little complicated, so I'm trying not to throw around too many terms or get into the weeds too much, but I will leave a link to a video that explains Legion in a pretty understandable way if you want to watch or get into it a little bit further. And like how I mentioned that Links do max out at 210 for some of them, Legion blocks max out at rank SSS, and that's level 250, so we probably won't be getting there for most of the characters. And so with all of that, I got my Legion characters to 140, so this would provide my account with at least a level 2 Link and the rank S Legion block. So that is my general idea going forward. So as far as how I leveled all these characters, I would try to do my dailies and then jump on a new character that I thought had a pretty cool Link or a pretty cool Legion block, and I would try and level it up using the main storyline missions. These are all the quests in the light bulb that just say main next to them. They give you a huge amount of XP. I don't know when they did this leveling revamp, but honestly I think they did a pretty good job because it's pretty easy to follow and pretty streamlined. They really handhold you from each level to the next and essentially just take you all the way up to level 200 by doing these main quest lines, and they're kind of a breeze. You'll just get tons of XP and levels just by even talking to people. You don't even have to kill anything. This is way faster than the way that I used to do it back in the day, which was just going to different regions and killing mobs. You'll have plenty of time for that once you get to level 200, so don't worry if you feel like you're missing or skipping out on something. So I did that for the majority of my characters. A lot of the time I would stop at level 100, because at level 100 I did get a ton of triple XP coupons, and I didn't like the level 100 missions or quests, so I would just go around killing mobs the old way but with boosted XP rates, and it honestly was still pretty quick. I went to the Star Force areas, and Star Force areas are just areas that you can only go to if you have upgraded your armor to a certain degree. That's pretty much the easiest way to explain it. It's a lot more XP killing those mobs in those areas, but the requirements do get really steep later on. Luckily, in these earlier maps in Ludibrium, I have no idea how to pronounce the name of that area, so we're just gonna call it Ludi. And those mobs only require around 20 to 30 Star Force in order to deal damage. Usually that means upgrading your gear around 3 or 4 pieces of your gear. You just level that up, and it only costs you a few million meso in order to do it. It's a really great place to train, so I'd highly recommend it. And that's essentially my entire process. I just did that over and over again for all my characters, slowly inching them towards that 140. Maybe it'd be over a day, or maybe I'll just do it all in one session. I think I timed it and it took around 2 or 3 hours to get one character up to 140 using this method. So if you are having a bit of a struggle or anything like that, or just are killing mobs and it's going a little bit slow, try those questline missions, and they honestly helped a lot. So I think I've been rambling for long enough. I know this is a little bit of a longer episode, but it's weird because I did cram way too much stuff into here, but I thought it would be a great idea to all of us catch up and, you know, jump into the Challenger world together. I am going to be probably making a few different characters. I'll kind of leave that up for you guys to, you know, try to think about which is going to be my main, or which I am going to make for my Hyperburn Max. And I'll get into all this in way more detail, and we'll have slightly different, hopefully better episodes as we continue on. So hopefully this episode 1 wasn't too much. You enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode.